Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast, all the stuff we did not get to during the course of the show today. And if you watch the news for any length of time, you obviously are going to keep hearing about the attempted assassination on former President Trump. Then there's comments about Biden. Will he stay in? Will he won't stay in? That kind of stuff. And there's just a lot of politics going on in the world right now, obviously. But if you're looking for someone to, like, badmouth anybody, like, in the political arena, like, if you're looking for that from former President George Bush, he's not going to do it. He has chosen to take the high ground. He's standing by his pledge to not critique other presidents and political leaders. That is so smart on his part, man. It makes you more likable, too, to people, because he's like, I know it's a tough job. Like, it's a no-win, thankless job a lot of times. And so he's like, I'm staying out of it. He does do, like, a joke in some of his private speeches, they said. He joked that both President Biden and former President Trump are too old for the demands of the job. And he goes, I'm younger than both of them, and I'm too old, you know. So he kind of makes a joke about it. Yeah, but he's not weighing in on the seriousness of it. He said the job of the president is very hard, and he doesn't want to make it harder for anybody, friend or foe. And, his former press secretary said that's very old school, it's very gracious, and it's very Bush. His approval rating is actually higher now than it was when he was in office, which I think is fascinating. But it really does go to show that whole adage of, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, or, if you can't say something nice, don't say something at all. And I think this is a smart move for him. And it's somebody, like, I always liked him. Like, I loved, when he would speak, because you never knew what was going to come out of his mouth. And this has to be my absolute favorite George Bush quote of all time.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
I've had those moments, man. Like, when you speak for a living and you're in front of people and your mind just goes and you want to make it all work and it doesn't. But he was always so likable, and I like that. I think that the idea behind this, though, and the reason I'm talking about it is, in this political world, like, it's very easy to have an opinion and to want to voice that opinion and argue and lead to more discourse. But the fact that this is a guy that's done the job is like, hey, I'm not going to add to that noise. I have every right to. I mean, he has an insight that none of us would have. But he's like, I don't want to make it harder on people. And I think as we post things and as we argue with people and debate things, in our own personal lives and friends and family, I think we have to remember that stuff and those relationships are far more important to manage and keep healthy than maybe winning a political argument or a debate. So there you go. Lady Rock, what do you got?
I have a list of the celebrities that we could never, ever dislike. I want to see if we agree with these. So coming in at number 13 was Michael J. Fox. You just can't hate the guy. I mean, Michael J. Fox is a great guy. I don't think he's done anything that's rubbed people the wrong way.
No, like, he avoided scandals and stuff. I saw a thing in the news with him the other day where he was praising his wife, Tracy Pollan, for, how an amazing wife she is. And they've had a long marriage inside of Hollywood, which is amazing. Yeah. But then also, too, inside of his illness. I mean, he's got massive Parkinson's, and it's, like, confined him to a wheelchair now and stuff. And, like, she's right there, and being a caretaker is not easy. And so I love seeing that story, and it looks like she is going to love him well, till he is no longer here. So yeah, he's definitely likable.
Julie Andrews.
Yes,
she just brings class with her everywhere she goes.
But what do you like her from? What's your favorite Julie Andrews thing that you like her from?
You like her in
Princess Diaries?
Princess Diaries, yeah.
I like her in Sound of Music.
She was great in Sound of Music, 1,000,000,000%. A young Julie Andrews. But you talk about bringing class. As the Queen of Genovia.
Which is not a real place.
Should be. She was awesome.
Henry Winkler, the Fonz.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've said this before. There was a show I used to watch, and now I can't remember what the name was, but it was these four guys. So it was
Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, and Henry Winkler, and then the guy who was on the Twilight Zone. Get off the plane.
William Shatner.
Yeah. And there was the guy that made the grill. He was
George
a wrestler.
Foreman.
Yes.
Wow,
Okay.
look at that.
So
We should be playing like one of those games where you're just describing someone.
It was the four of them, and they would travel around together, and it was hilarious. I loved it. Another person that made the list, Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah.
You just can't hate him.
It's funny because he does songs. He doesn't do like controversial songs. He kind of does silly songs. He's done one or two that leaned a little political-ish, or whatever. But he's just kind of that goofball, and it's hard to hate anyone with an accordion.
Another one that made the list, Brendan Fraser.
Oh, yeah. He got a little hate for The Whale, his role in The Whale. He was in The Mummy and in...
He was great in The Mummy.
I never saw that. Too scary.
What?
Too scary. I don't like
Too
scary movies.
scary.
Yeah.
Oh, my
The bad CGI Dwayne Johnson.
Too scary. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was great.
But they did, he did like Journey to the Center of the Earth and stuff. But he got a little hate for The Whale, and not because of his performance. I think he won an award for his performance.
Yeah.
But because it was about like some 400 or 600 pound guy, and they fat suited him instead of hiring somebody that was, that weight. But it's like, no, you hire an actor that's qualified, and then that's what Hollywood is. You make people up to look like they're supposed to.
He did The Mummy, and I mean, that was huge for him. And then he kind of just fell off.
He did. He
the face of the
disappeared.
earth. And then he came back and he did The Whale. I think there was a lot of he opened up later about some personal issues he was walking through. But a lot of people have good things to say about him. Another one is Keanu Reeves.
I hear good things about him, like personally. Like his movies,
Jack Black? No, that's the comedian. What's his name? Jack
Reacher.
John Wick.
No, John Wick is his character.
Okay.
Yeah. He honestly, when you watch Bill and Ted's, from the beginning, Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure or whatever it was called, I forget, or Bogus Journey was the sequel. Why do I know that?
And why are you still using some time to talk about it?
I know, but like he should have never made it. Like it's a horrible movie.
But then he got the deal
It's a
of
cult
Speed.
classic. Yeah, and
Speed took him.
But he was he's been bad in just about every movie
Bad
he's
as
been
in
in.
like acting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a good actor at all.
Even in the
John Wick.
John Wick.
John
just said
Wick
it.
ones?
I think that they know that, though. I don't think you put Keanu Reeves in a role to win like Academy Awards or anything like that. You put him there and you're like, this guy is sort of just a Joe. He's definitely kind of just a Joe, and you let it just happen.
See, some guys transition. Like you had comedians like Robin Williams that transitioned into actually a really good actor in a comedic role and in serious roles, or Steve Martin and things like that. But you take Keanu Reeves, who started off as an actor, but just stayed a bad actor. Like even in the John Wick movies, there was something about how much he got paid per word.
Yeah.
Because it's all action,
That's
and
all
he
does.
has such little dialogue, which is really smart, because you think that after all these years in The Matrix and all this, he's gonna get it.
Oh, yeah, The
and
Matrix.
he's gonna go to an acting coach, and something's gonna click, and then he's gonna be like
listen.
Othello,
But
and
who
then
cares?
nothing.
Listen, he's making big
Yeah.
bucks, and
But-
he is huge in Hollywood for
Yeah.
not being able to act.
But I've heard that he actually is really kind to people, and
Yeah,
like
and
he
he was
takes
good
care
to
of his
his
fans.
sister.
Exactly. So
Yeah, she
like
got sick.
that's the important stuff in life beyond whether he's a good actor or not.
Who made number 4? Robin Williams.
Oh yeah.
So no bad things about him. He did
Yeah.
Mrs. Doubtfire, Jumanji.
Yeah, his death. Very rarely does somebody that I don't know affect me. His death affected me. Like I was like, "Dad, gummit, man," because he took his own life, and like he was the happy guy to everybody else, but he suffered silently, and that like so resonated with me. And then I had met him once. I interviewed him, and we just clicked. It was like there are certain interviews you do doing this job that are just business, and like everybody parts ways after and things like that. But there are some that stand with you, and you had a good moment, a fun moment. And when I made him genuinely laugh, that was the highlight of my career.
That's cool.
Yeah, like that was the highlight of my career. And then seeing him like suffering and then taking his own life was like, oh my gosh, like wake up call for me, because I've been bitter my whole life, and you're like, okay, if that, you got to keep things in check because it can run on you.
Well,
so that
and
was really sad.
I think too a big thing was his identity was tied into how people saw him.
Yeah, I know, right?
And so once I think he was he was diagnosed with something that was going to make it harder for him to do
Yeah.
what people know him for, and he didn't see himself as valuable anymore.
I think that the diagnosis also came with a mental side of it, that it caused you to have like suicidal ideation or thoughts and things like that. And so some stuff came up after that made people go, oh my gosh, if we had just known, he could have gotten help, you know, and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's definitely one that, you know, people might not have liked his comedy, but I think most people, he ingratiated himself to most people.
Coming in at number 3, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers, when you find out all these good things about him, like I found out about when there was a little girl that she was blind, but she was a huge fan of Mr. Rogers and his show. And so she wrote to him and asked him, does he still have the fish? Because she couldn't tell if he was feeding the fish or not. And so what he would do is after he got her letter, when he would feed the fish on the show, he would say, I'm feeding the fish just for her.
Interesting. I've never heard that story.
It's so
That's cool. Good
sweet.
guy.
Like he just went above and beyond.
The movie about him that Tom Hanks played him, I think it was Tom Hanks, right?
Yeah.
That played him, was really good. Like you learned about his mindset and who he was and why he did what he did. Because on the surface, like he was creepy as all get out. Like how you talk to people and children and and I did children's programming for a while, like working at Radio Disney. And we tried very hard to not make it like, yes, boys and girls, you know, because we're these two adults like doing
Creepy.
kids. Yeah, exactly. You know, and so we tried to treat the kids and speak to the kids just like we would as adults on the same level. So like Rogers always creeped me out. Even as a kid, he creeped me out. Yeah, he did. I swear to you.
Well, he could to you, but he's not. It's not what everybody thinks.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything bad about him. I'm saying I got creepy. I'm not saying he was, but it creeped me out. Like I didn't like the show, but he broke down racial barriers in a time that that the country was super struggling with that, and he did like such good. He's a very interesting. Remember when we talked to his wife? His wife was fantastic.
Yeah, super sweet.
Yeah, I loved her.
So now you're wondering, well, who is number 1 and who's number 2?
Yeah.
Because who can beat Mr. Rogers? Number 2, kind of surprising, Chadwick Boseman,
Oh, yeah.
which he passed
Yeah,
on.
I mean,
But
like, he
he's
was
only known for Black
inspiring.
Panther, right?
Black Panther. He played Jackie Robinson. He did a music, like a jazz movie. It does seem like there is some. They say like the list is like celebrities we can't hate.
Yeah.
There is definitely just
Because he's dead, you can't
It's a
hate
little
him.
bit of a bias when it's like if they're gone. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna hate on someone if they
Well,
passed
I don't
away.
know. I mean, people like John Wayne, he said things in the past that people were like, I can't believe you would say that. And then they're trying to cancel him, and he's been dead for like 30, 40
Oh,
years.
really?
So
I don't deny that Chadwick was a great guy and did some really cool work, but
Yeah, he didn't have the legacy that some of the other people have.
Years.
Just time in the business.
yeah,
You know,
I would say you
get
need to
known.
have a little bit of time in the public eye, and I didn't feel like you had that. So coming in at number 1, do you have any guess?
Bob
Tom
Ross.
Hanks. It's got to be Tom Hanks.
Oh, Bob! Wow, you both guessed 2 people that did not make the list at all.
Tom didn't
No,
make the
everyone
list?
loves Tom Hanks.
Bob Ross should have made it.
Did you see Tom Hanks yelling at photographers the other day, though? It was
I'm sure they deserved it.
Oh, yeah. They were crowding in, and he had his wife with him, and he protected his wife.
Good
and
for
was
him.
Yeah, it's the right call. And he's yelling at him, guys, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Guys,
Listen to Tom.
stop it here. I'm going to give you a knuckle sandwich.
That's righteous anger.
Yeah, but like...
If Tom's angry, I'm angry.
Yeah, I mean, I would love nothing better than to be punched by Tom Hanks. That would be fantastic. I'd be like Chris Rock. That is the greatest night in television.
I will say that number 1 is a woman.
What?
Oh,
Oprah?
No.
No, because people don't like her anymore a lot of times.
Oprah.
It's not a Kardashian, thank the Lord.
Queen
Can you give us a genre? Is it an actress?
She's a singer.
It's not J-Lo, because people are hating on J-Lo right now. Please don't say Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Please
No.
don't say Taylor Swift.
No,
Not
it's not
Mariah Carey.
No, people
No.
don't like Mariah Carey.
No.
What genre? Pop, rock?
Country.
Pop? Country. Oh, not
Reba-
Miranda
oh,
Lambert.
Dolly Parton.
Dolly. Yeah.
Dolly Parton.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, yeah, no,
number
she does
1.
great things for the world. Her the book program, she's
Yeah.
super sweet.
They did a whole podcast about how she is able to break the barriers on every
Yeah.
group, every genre.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what you stand for, what your politics, your race, your religion,
Yeah.
whatever. So many people love her. And
Well,
it's like, how does she do it?
Why do you think that is? Because she's kind.
Yeah.
and she's kind to everybody. But she doesn't endorse people's like lifestyles per se. For a real good example, like she is definitely LGBTQ friendly, but she's not out at pride parades holding a flag and like she's not celebrating like that. She's just not hating on them.
But that's what's so interesting too, is because how does she get away with not being at those festivals?
Right.
Because it seems like if there are other celebrities that stand up for these LGBTQ, they're expected to be at the parade, yet she's not.
Right.
And no one says boo.
Because
how does she do it?
I think because she does just that Southern charm and she's just kind to people and she's consistently kind.
But I also think too, there's something about her, and this is like goes back to what we were talking about with Robin Williams. To me, she comes across as someone who, while she's had a lot of work done, she comes across as someone who is very confident in who she is as a person.
Yeah.
Like she's not insecure about what others think of her, and I think she seems to find value in herself as she is.
I think that it comes down to my pastor, an old pastor at a church I went to a long time ago, said, I love this quote. He was talking about Jesus. He says, people who were nothing like Jesus liked Jesus. And if you look at his life, why did they like him? He did speak truth, but he also spoke love. And he was kind. He was accepting. He was caring. He cared about people that no one else cared about. And I think that that's Dolly's secret sauce. She cares about people. And so she might say she's like cares about LGBTQ, but then you have a fire over there and she cares about people whose houses burned down, you know, and so they are like, maybe they don't like the other thing that she cares about, but they're like, oh, but you care about us too.
She's kind of like that Betty White scenario where it's like you see her as the grandma that just loves everybody. Here's a cookie kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I know you love yourself some Dolly. You
I
got
do.
yourself a Dolly Parton t-shirt. And
Airbrush t-shirt. Yeah, I did.
kind of, and we've talked about this before on the show, but like, again, like going to Dollywood, they did a drone show that was really, really good, but they stayed out of the LGBTQ stuff. Like they just did a good drone show, and it even had like a boy and a girl, like, you know, depicted, and then like they kiss and stuff, you know, and so like everyone's like, yay! So she supports LGBTQ. But she doesn't put it in her business and make it a talking point or a agenda point.
Kind of like what we were talking about with the movie Twisters from yesterday.
Yes, exactly.
Like the director was like, we're not making it about global warming. We're just here for a movie.
And that's where Disney, I think, has lost their way, where they are making everything an agenda, and the agenda is driving the art, and you're creating bad art. But when you don't do that, you look at Pixar, who obviously is under Disney too, but if you look at Pixar, had the most successful thing they've had in years with Inside Out 2. And that movie had multiple places it could have easily swung into the agenda of especially LGBTQ, and they didn't. And guess what? You had raging success. Why did you have success? Because the majority of the country is not what this smaller minority is, and the smaller minority is super vocal and loud about it, but the majority, you still are the ones buying tickets to things, you know, and stuff. And so they like when you actually don't do the agenda. You know, you can believe what you want to believe. I get it, but keep it. Again, we've had that conversation too. Like, most people are not going to hate on LGBTQ until you start getting to things with kids. You stay away from kids and don't push the agenda on them, you're going to have less problems with 90% of regular people in America. You know, and I firmly believe that. And I think if they learned that, they would find far more acceptance, which is what they want, and they would find far more acceptance and less resistance, and people would treat them better. But Mo, you get into that stuff, man, and that's where it instantly goes south on you. So what do you got for birthdays?
The Clausens.
Again.
Hey, wow, everyone's having a birthday in the Clausen household.
They want to wish their oldest son, David, a happy birthday. He's a great dad, ambitious and very competitive, and wants badly to be his parents' favorite child. Oh, poor David.
It's sad that he knows that he's not. David, I'm
so
sorry.
sad.
I mean, like for me, I never had
He's
to
like
struggle
the
with that.
Hayden.
Yes, he's like Hayden. I never had to struggle with that because I knew I was my parents' favorite. And rightfully so. Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, come on.
I asked your mom that one time, and she was like,
well, because she didn't want it. She knows my siblings listen and stuff, and like
it was
so.
Off the air. No
I know,
one
but
was
she
listening.
knows that like you would tell somebody, you would
Does
call
she,
my.
though?
She does.
She laughed.
Yeah,
like she verbally laughed. She was like, kind of like that. Good one, Betty. Okay, question. You have to pick one of the following. You have to. 1, give up your cell phone for 7 days. 2, give up your vehicle and take city buses for 4 days.
Okay.
Or 3, only eat vegetables for 5 days.
You know what? I would
pick
give up
one?
my cell phone for 7 days.
Yeah.
As hard as that is for
Really?
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
me too.
I might read a book.
Books, and then I can open all my social media on my laptop if I need to.
Let's say you had to do no social.
Okay. Yes.
I would
Totally
I
fine
would
with
definitely I would go on vacation and I would go somewhere where I couldn't use my cell phone anyway. So that way I'm not going to
Really?
hurt as much.
It's
yeah.
that hard for you.
It really is.
As
that
long
hard
as
for
you
me.
warn people, like, hey, I won't have this for this long. You
Yeah.
can't contact me via
Right.
this. So, sounds good.
Yeah.
The times at night when I put the phone in the room and then walk away, a lot more peaceful.
Yeah, I do. Like when I'm on vacation, I'm not tied to it. I definitely do feel a little bit better, but then I come home and I get tied to it. If I was in a different country, though, like say I was in England and you said I had to take public transportation, 100% would do that.
Yeah, we just don't have it down here.
Yeah, their public transportation is so good. The tube is good. The buses are good. 100% I would do that. I would not do that in this country. It's too unreliable and in some places not even safe.
I think you would have to just mainly take an Uber. Or
Oh, well,
Lyft.
no. That's not public transportation.
But that's the only option you have here.
Oh, yeah, because we don't.
Some
we don't
places
have
have
any.
some bus. Like you can bus.
You
Once
can
get
bus
up to
in Nashville, yeah.
But I think it's a lot more inconvenient.
Yeah, you can't bus like down where we live.
No.
Well, I don't know if this would surprise you or not, but I would pick the third option, and that is to eat vegetables for 5
You
days.
don't want to give up your phone for 7 days?
Sad.
No, I think
really
no,
sad.
No, I think that you'd be doing me a favor by telling me you can only eat fruits and vegetables for 5 days.
just
Like make it
tiring.
where I have to because I don't have the self-control to do that myself. So make it where I have to. Great. I'm fine with that. And I'll watch TikTok while you can't.
Yeah, that's true. And you won't let me watch it over your shoulder either.
No.
Like, no. We were watching television today, and the new vice president candidate with Trump, JD Hanks, his wife was speaking, and she was like, and he is a meat and potatoes guy, but he adapted to my lifestyle of vegetarianism. And I'm like, oh, weak sauce. Why? Why would, like, I get keeping peace in your home, but, like, don't become something you're not unless you really wanted to. But I don't see most meat and potatoes people, especially guys, being like, I think vegetables are a great option.
Well, in his point of view, his wife was more important to
Vance refrigeration.
to him than steak and all that.
But you can have both. That's
You can.
the exact same.
Well,
That's
she's
the
not
thing.
saying that's not the case.
We don't know that.
You're assuming the worst in her.
No, I'm saying that, like, if I was in a relationship where my wife suddenly decided to become vegetarian or vegan, I would support her 100%.
Would that be grounds for divorce?
No, but I would. No, nothing is really. I would support her 100% in her choice, and I would gladly and not angrily make my own dinner. I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Well, enjoy your broccoli. I'm gonna try not to let you smell my hamburger, but you're going to smell my hamburger because it's gonna be pretty good. So, like, I think that's where you got to give each other their space. Like when you go to like people's house and like say you have a dietary restriction and you're like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna be something for me to eat. Like, no, that's on you. If you have a dietary restriction, bring your food. Don't ask people to cater to you.
You're all bolstered and stuff, but I know that if Marty said, I don't really want to go to Taco Bell. I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
Let's go somewhere else.
Well, that happens all the time. That happens monthly.
But I'm saying that you are the one that caters to.
Oh, I do cater to her, absolutely. But
so
not,
if she said,
I have my lines.
If she said, I want to be vegetarian for a number of weeks.
Yes.
And she would say, but I really want you to do it.
I would say no. I would say, I love you to death, but no. That this was not in our vows. Nowhere did this come up in our vows. And this is not for better or for worse. This is worse than worse. Okay? So, yeah.
So dramatic.
I'm not dramatic. I'm just honest.
Dramatic.
No, I could not. I could not do that. Like, and I love her to death. and it wouldn't affect my
But
relationship with her.
You love her to death, but you don't love her to
No,
veggies.
you shouldn't. You should not put that on me. That's unfair.
Would you rather die than eat veggies?
Yes, I don't. I like veg. I hate vegetables that much. You should not put that kind of restriction on me. If you
Wow.
loved me,
Whoa.
you would say, "I'm not going to make you do this. I love you. You go cook that steak." You know. So there you go.
What
right
if
back
she's
at you.
on she's got a health concern and they say, for you to be your healthiest you,
Yes.
you need to stick to
Okay.
no red meats, no sugar.
I've thought
The
of this.
gout is way out of control.
Yeah.
Therefore, we are cutting out all the protein.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
all the
thought
sugar.
of this.
All
I've thought
the-
of this for her. Like, if it's like, okay, a health thing, not just a choice thing, you go, all right, that's fine. What time are we having dinner tonight? And she goes, we have dinner at 5. I'm like, okay, if that's fine, I will be there. I'm probably not going to eat a lot of broccoli, but I will be there. And then I would go to McDonald's on the way home, and I would eat in my car shamefully. And I would come home full and happy, and then I would pick at the broccoli and be nice, okay? But yeah, there's no way.
But then she could smell the McDonald's on your breath.
That's on her. They make Bananka breath spray. I'll do that before I go.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like someone with a smoking habit.
Yeah.
And they're
Trying to hide
trying
it.
to hide.
There is something about like shame eating or whatever. Like what was it the other day? I ate something because we're both on a diet, and I ate something. And what did we talked about this on the show, and I hid the wrapper because I didn't want her to be upset. I forget what it was. But yeah, you can definitely shame spiral when you're in a pact with someone on a diet.
And that
for sure.
is love.
That is love. All right. Well, with that, this is love, and this is the podcast. And thanks for being a potty.
Growing up in poverty has never been easy for children, but with the added challenges of the pandemic, conflict, and natural disasters, families around the world are facing an unprecedented food crisis. Unfortunately, those who are already hungry are now even more desperate. But by sponsoring a child through compassion, you can help provide life-sustaining essentials such as food and clean water. And with your compassionate support, that child can not only survive, but also flourish. You can find out how and choose a child to sponsor when you click on the compassion banner at wayfm.com.